spent a lot of time trying to get over the fears of speaking on camera and talking openly and publicly about everything that we're working on personally. You know, my social media when I first started was a recommendation back in, I don't know, 2015, 16, something like that. I created the Plus 3 Golf Facebook page in 2015, I believe. And I think somebody recommended that I start posting my golf shots onto the internet. I had Instagram at the time, but I didn't, you know, I've always been interested in photography, and I thought it was cool to have an app to be able to do editing. And so I originally used it just to kind of have fun with pictures, and because I think that's what Instagram was supposed to be, and from the original was more of a photography type. But hey, social media evolves. But the recommendation was to start putting my swing videos onto the internet for a couple different reasons. Because I recorded videos. I've been recording my golf swing since, you know, that's a junior practice that we did with coaches and training and critiquing. So there was always that factor of having enough video on hand to be able to leave the lesson and then work on it while you know, I'm not at the location of my golf lesson. So it's a way to learn your swing, analyze your swing. You know, it can be frustrating at times, looking at videos and critiquing and analyzing, but I grew up with it for athletic reasons, and so it's always been normal for me to be in front of a camera, just not talking, which is what I need to work on, and I'm getting better. Not really, because I haven't posted anything, but I've been able to do podcasts, and I've been able to speak about the issues I face and things like that. But I used all my golf swings and my golf shots as my branding for Plus 3 Golf. I didn't have a full outline on what Plus 3 Golf was fully going to end up looking like. I knew that the vision and what I identified very early on, especially coming out of the program in 2014, is I just didn't understand why someone like myself, we were, heavily in athletics, and, all families have their problems and wins and successes and losses and fights. And so I'm not here to judge or bash anybody, right? But train of thoughts. It's common. I've learned that it's part of my diagnosis of CPTSD and ADHD and all the other freaking letters to help describe what the hell I deal with every day. But anyway, so making the videos, I'm going to try to get back. I lost kind of the point, but I know what I was talking about. So, but with the videos and the direction there, what I identified. So I identified early on in 2014, 2015, because I didn't understand why someone like myself who, had a decent upbringing, we moved 3 times when I was in 2nd grade, 3 different states for 2nd grade. Like, I had some things I had to learn to adapt to probably at a younger age than some, but I know there's a lot worse situations and a lot worse scenarios, so I know there's, pain is pain, problems are problems. I personally think that by the end of the day, most of our pains and our tribulations and our misfortunes, I think most people experience them the same, even though that the experience is so vastly different. And that was a realization that kind of helped me align better with myself. And it's not because I thought I was a victim, it's because I never identified as somebody that had traumatic experiences. I just identified with it. And I think that's why it's easier now to jump on this and do this rant and talk and, you know, turn this into what I need to. But so like I had this upbringing, like I was fine. Like I had a 3.7 GPA, 3.8, 3.6, I don't know. I wasn't an A student. I was a B plus student with some A's and some C's and, you know, potentially a D in history. I think I got out of AP history before it got too bad, but like I had good things going for me. I was, you know, a ranked top 100, top 50 junior golfer my senior year in North Carolina. I broke the top 200 at one point in the country, but I wasn't there for a long time. I just was able to break it. I had a couple good months going into my senior year, I think it was. That kind of gave me a good boost. And then I got a scholarship. I got a D1 golf scholarship to East Carolina University. I had an opportunity for a scholarship to Notre Dame, but I wasn't able to get my SAT up to 1200. I think I ended up at 1170, so I was 30 points away from a potential scholarship. Or, I mean, we were in discussions. He was ready to pull the trigger, but I had to get to 1200. I think I took the SAT 3 times or something like that. I did study courses. You know, I was diagnosed with the ADHD my sophomore year, going into junior year, sophomore year. And so like my test taking's terrible. I just never, like, I have to read things 30,000 times, still have that issue. I still think I battle dyslexia, but you know, I'm not gonna sit here and say I got this problem, this problem, this problem, but I had a lot of things going for me. So tell me how, if I was diagnosed my sophomore year, why wasn't I from Duke University, from a university program, right, on a day that it was like a Saturday, like it was closed. So we had this private session, several hours long. I wish I would have, I tried to keep the documents, but it was about that thick of information about that visit. And the thing that always stuck with me is, why in the world was I diagnosed with OCD, ADHD, depression, anxiety, and I wasn't offered any type of therapy. I wasn't offered counseling. I wasn't offered, you know, it was more about performance, right? It was more about execution. You know, there's times where I voiced that I didn't want to be on medication, and guess what? That decision was not accommodated. So why wasn't there a plan in place? So it's like, yeah, we can say that the 90s, there wasn't a lot of talk about addiction, and there wasn't a lot of talk about narcotics and their downfalls and their pitfalls. You know, and then the 90s brought in some pills and ecstasy. I think ecstasy might already, you know, but like and now in the 2000s, it turned into an opiate epidemic. Right? So like, I feel like my sophomore, junior year, that there should have been either a language I could recognize with or associated with, instead of just having that label as a problem, right? Because that was the stigma. It was, if you're on this medication, you're crazy, you're nuts, you're high strung, you can't get yourself together, you're violent, you're this and you're that, right? It's like, come on now. This doesn't, it's frustrating, man. For me to be 38 years old, finding out now that I got complex post-traumatic stress